interview author Joel Roosa, and he's the author of All Worlds Awakening, a fascinating book that you've just got to try and read because it's really, really good. How are you doing today, Joel?
I'm fine, thank you. How about yourself?
I'm doing well, actually. I mean, it's a great day and I feel great. So let's begin. How did you develop your writing habits?
By making them habits. It's it's not a thing. It's like, well, I'll write when I get the chance, or if I feel good today,
Right?
or anything like that. It's like, as a rule, unless something actually is going on I can't avoid, um, I'm on the computer after lunch writing, whether I've got anything to write or feel like it or not.
Right.
It's the thing I do. And I found out that even if I don't feel like it, if you start doing something,
Yep.
you will you'll start doing something.
You'll break
And
through, in other words.
yeah, and I work it in when I can later in the evening, but my mind isn't quite as good later in the evening. But still, I've also there's a sometimes there's an advantage to writing when you're not tip top because you might do silly things, but you can fix them later. I think
Yes.
it was
But you've got to get in the habit of writing, right?
right. What was his name? Famous author. I'll think of it later. Who said, "Write drunk, edit sober." Well, I wouldn't write drunk, but it's like,
Write drunk, edit sober. That's a good motto.
yeah, and it's like, because you do strange things that you might not do normally, but then you can edit them out and fix them later on. Editing
Right.
drunk sounds like a really bad idea. So, although I've seen some things I swear were edited drunk, but
It
yeah.
really does. It really does.
Yeah. But yeah, but that's it. Yeah, basically, I made them habits.
Do you
You
write
know,
5 days a week or 7 days a week or
probably seven days a week, depending on circumstances. Like I said,
really?
if there's an appointment that I can't avoid or something like that, or
Right.
and it may not be as extensive depending on the circumstances.
But about an hour a day or two?
Uh 2 hours a day. I mean, of actual writing, probably more like an hour and a half.
Right.
But I try to get in like at least 2 hours of good writing a day, at least what I consider good writing anyway. So
Right. Right. Well, what techniques do you use to improve your writing the most? Because those will translate to the listening audience what they have to do to improve their own writing.
well, I'm not sure if techniques, but I've had my writing critiqued by other writers, and it helped me get my actual writing ability back since my stroke. I couldn't write at all for a while, and I'd forgotten stuff.
Yep.
So I had to get my grammar back, my spelling, my punctuation, my sentence structure, and having other people look at it helped an awful lot. That's the
Yeah.
only thing I can think of that really helps. It's like when you are your only audience,
Right.
it's and if you're not writing for anybody else, it's a little hard to know what you should write because, oh, I like everything I write. Well, yes, you would tend to probably. Most people do, except I remember years back, I'd look at something later on and it'd be like, wow, that was really good, or wow, what the heck was I on back then? But yeah, it helped to get another eye on it because um, I had submitted some things to magazines,
Right.
and I never got any feedback, just like a rejection or whatever. And I asked, could you tell me what's wrong with it? And they put me in touch with some online critiquing sites and things like that. And
Yeah. Because they
it's
get
like,
so many submissions, they just can't take the time or they won't take the time.
oh yeah, well, I mean, considering being an editor for an online magazine, um, it's a lot about not having the time. It's like, well, we do tend to give them little comments back, whether they
Right.
ask, if they ask for them. But it's like, yeah, most places don't have the time to give you an in-depth saying of why we don't like it.
Right.
And,
Right. Now, how do
and
you divide your
knowing that
time?
helps. What's that?
Yeah. Do you
Yeah.
use beta readers a lot for your work?
Um, I have had beta readers. Like I
You
think
find
all
they're helpful,
um yes, usually to some
right?
extent. What I find out with beta readers, it's not that they tell me what I'm doing wrong, because maybe I don't agree with them, but they will sometimes give me unique perspectives on things, or things I forgot, or mention, you never resolved that plot point or something like that there.
Oh, that's a good one.
Yeah, it's like I noticed that I'm going over the second book right now. Well, not right now, but lately, and there was one or two things I'm like, oh, I never resolved that particular thing there, and I thought I fixed it, but my fix actually made it worse. Then I had to go back and fix the fix, and there was one I completely left out a sentence or something. I'm just looking at like, what was I trying to say here? I must have done something. I must have copy pasted, not copy pasted the whole thing or something. I'm guessing.
There's a famous writer who wrote a death of someone in the early part of his manuscript, and without thinking, he had him talking later on. So it escaped the editors, copy editors, and everything, right? So he published the book like that. It was really a famous author, but it was kind of, you have to always watch for that, right? Killing a character off and having them speak later on. Yeah.
Yeah, that's kind of important. I don't make notes like that, but I have notes to refer to as what characters look like, what their eyes colors are, that kind of thing, how tall they are, because I don't remember anything. I mean, I like, I'm pretty sure Nia has black hair. Apart from that, and yeah, it's good to have. I don't make extensive notes on such and such has happened, but that's why I tend to reread my stuff. Like I say, I'm working on the second book, and that'll help me when I redo the third book, because I won't have to try to remember what I did, because it'll be fresh in my head.
So how do you divide your time between your writing and marketing?
I'm lost when it comes to marketing. It's like I've been trying to work with this stuff lately, and I'm completely clueless as far as marketing. It's like one thing I'm going to do. There's some people who are fans of mine on a site I used to be on, so I will be sending them like notifications that my book is available.
That's good.
They all expressed interest in seeing a book if and when it came out. So
that's a great idea. Have you got a mailing list of people you correspond with that you can notify, like authors for your editor, the job you edit for the magazine?
Yeah. My main editor, she knows about the book. And the first book. In fact, she's going to be doing a review of the book.
But the other authors, do you use them as a mailing list?
Or
would it be a conflict of interest to use them?
Yeah, I don't know. I would be, I don't know. I'm not really sure if that would be, they'll all be aware of the book, but I don't have the other authors on the book. I don't have any of their mailing addresses. We only connect through the magazine itself. So
I found a mailing list is very important to marketing. And people don't realize how many contacts they have.
Oh, that's true. That's true. I've got a start of a mailing list, I guess. Actually.
Right.
Yeah.
So you make a mailing list and mail out notifications that your book is available, right?
Yeah.
All right. So you don't do too much marketing now. And what steps should you take to build an author platform? Yeah, that's another marketing question, I realize, but
yeah. So I really don't know.
That's a website, for example. Do you have a website?
Yeah, I'm trying to get one up. Well, I was trying to start a YouTube channel, but I'm having trouble with the recording anything part. It's kind of important, I guess, if you're going to do a YouTube channel. But so I don't.
Yeah, honestly, like for Whitecap Publications, we just started a YouTube channel.
Oh.
And we've already got 10 interviews up. And it's really important to start a YouTube channel and to cross interview other authors.
Yeah, that I'd like to do. Yeah.
For example, you could interview all the people that submit manuscripts to your online magazine.
Right.
You could contact them and see if they want to be interviewed. Right. It's a way of promoting their books or their works, because honestly, there's so many authors out there now that don't have any outlet, that don't get interviewed. That'd be a fascinating way to do it, right?
Oh, thank you. That's a good idea. Those I would have their email addresses, because they kind of have to give those to us when they submit things. So
right.
I will talk to the editor though of the magazine and see if she has a problem with me doing that, because
Right.
it'd be kind of like using.
Oh, ask her first, and ask the individual patrons, the
Right.
authors, right?
Right.
Do you mind if I send an email to you notifying you of my books?
Right.
Or send an email to them saying, would they like to be interviewed?
Yeah, that's a good idea.
So yeah, that's, of course, you ask the editor first, and you ask the authors first if they would like to be interviewed. But yeah, I think that would be cool. And you don't have to interview them for a book. You can
Right.
edit for their short stories and everything like that.
Right.
But do you do any work on Facebook, or do you do any
Well,
work on Facebook?
I'm on Facebook.
Right. Do you promote your
But
books?
I have posted up the I guess it's the link to the Amazon site with the picture and everything.
Right.
Like
Right.
yeah.
That's good.
But that's about all. I mean, I've brought it up occasionally. I don't otherwise post much to Facebook because I don't
On
really have
Amazon, do you have an author platform? An author page?
No.
Yeah, you've got to get an author's page because that's the way they stay in touch. They follow you. If they follow you on Amazon, they'll go to your author's page.
Oh.
There'll be a tremendous amount of information. You can actually link that to your blog post if you have a blog. Which brings up another question. Do you have a blog?
No, I was going to try to do that too, because I can apparently record sound, but
right.
I
you can
can't
type. You can type a message to them too, right?
Yeah.
So they honestly, most blogs are not sound; they're just printed word, right?
Oh, okay. Well, see, I didn't know because I don't look at any blogs.
Yep. Well, I didn't either in the past, but I've kind of gotten used to them now.
Yeah.
So I can spend about 6 hours a day reading them, but I don't. I just cursorily glance at them.
Right.
But yeah, you can start a blog too, right?
Okay.
Do you do LinkedIn?
I am on LinkedIn. Yes.
Do you promote your book?
I have, but I could probably do it again.
Yeah, you should. You should.
Yeah. That's like my mindset is like, well, I've done it. Oh, well, yeah, I probably should do it again. Yeah. Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, like for example, I've got 12,800 followers on LinkedIn.
Oh, cool.
So I notify them every time an author's book comes out, give them a plug. Like this video, when we're doing this video, I'll in turn notify LinkedIn this video, post it up, and you'd be amazed how many people are interested.
Oh, that's cool.
Now, do you have an Instagram account or Twitter account?
No, I would not go on Twitter if you paid me, but well, yeah, no, I don't have Instagram.
If you only promote your books, it's fine.
Yeah, that's true.
You don't talk to anybody, but honestly, you'll find Twitter is an invaluable tool to promote your books. If you only talk about books, if you get involved with politics, that's downwards.
Yeah. It's like might as well shoot myself in the face. Yeah.
Right. There's so many people that are political on Twitter that's not, that section is not worth doing. Politics.
Yeah. I guess the funny thing, when I heard Twitter used to be the good site, and then everyone that was from the bad sites moved over to it and made it worse.
Are you on Goodreads?
I get email from Goodread.
Are you on it though?
No, I'm not on it.
You should go on there as an author.
Okay.
And it's very, very good advertising, right?
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, it's funny. I just got a thing from Goodreads the other day, and I was like, I should get my book on this somehow. There's so much. It's like
for example, your online editor that's going to review your book, All Words Awakening, can post that on Goodreads.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, what's the sense of her reviewing the book? Where's she going to put the review? On a post or on Amazon?
It's the online magazine Cosmic Roots and Eldritch Shores has a review section. But
you should post your book, your review, on Goodreads.
Okay.
For her to do it. Ask her to do it, right?
Yeah.
That's really a good way to do it. Now, let's get back to your book. What do you hope to achieve with All Words Awakening? What kind of audience do you court for it? I think would be the first question in their minds.
I don't know. My audience isn't exactly specific. It's people who like, I don't know, fantasy and or science fiction, preferably both together, because that's kind of what I write. And people who are in the mood for either a good mystery or a rock'em sock'em adventure, a little romance, good character interactions, that kind of stuff. That's about as specific as I can get, I guess.
Well, it's good because honestly, as you narrow down your target market,
Mm-hmm.
you can refine your readership. And readers that enjoy science fiction and fantasy and mysteries, would you say it's more science fiction than mysteries, or more fantasy than science fiction?
More fantasy than science fiction or mystery. There is some mystery, but it's not a huge element.
Well, that's a great market. The fantasy market is really hot right now. So I think that's really good for you, man.
Okay.
So
yeah, I would call myself more like sci-fantasy, I think. I just don't really make a huge distinction between the two a lot of times. But even the characters will mention that sometime.
There's a huge distinction between fantasy and pure science fiction.
Oh yeah,
but
I know.
You touch on science fiction, but it's primarily fantasy, I think, right?
Yes, it would be.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
What character arcs? Describe your character arcs in All Worlds Awakening.
Well, there's several of them because there's a number of characters. But
how many do you think?
Oh well, there's three.
It's the main characters, right?
The main characters would be Harry and Nia, really.
Right.
Harry's our character. He goes from being a wannabe noir detective type character, a loner, to working with a partner, Nia, who he thinks is like, oh Lord, now I've got to work with a newbie. And he comes, as time goes on, to depend on her because she's actually smarter than he is. And he would admit that and I think he does a few times.
Yes.
But it's like he goes from a kind of a grumpy loner to a somewhat less grumpy part of a team. And he's like, and he's all about that team as it goes on too. There is a romantic element introduced between the two, and I don't make it a huge part of the book. And by the end of the book, without trying to give away, it's the impression is given that they've had a physical relationship, but they actually don't. That's not apparent until the second book. It's like, without trying to give too much away, Harry's not sure if she's joking about this sort of stuff because they've had that kind of relationship, and he's afraid to push it because it might mess things up between the two of them. And she doesn't know why he's not responding. It's like, what's wrong with me? So she doesn't push it either. And they kind of keep the banter going on between the two of them.
Right.
And that's where it kind of stays most of the book. And we do resolve that in the second book. So
right.
Going into any details, because there's a very important scene where it all resolves, but I won't bring that up yet.
Yeah. All right. How do you handle your cathartic moments for your main characters?
Now, are you talking about my catharsis or the character's catharsis?
The character's catharsis.
Yeah. Well, it depends. Like the one character comes to mind, particularly Florinald.
Right.
He considered himself, well, he's an adopted member of the Valdurian family, the ones that control the Knights of Valoran, and he's always considered himself kind of like the oh yeah, and there's me, kind of thing. Like he's not as powerful as the rest of them and stuff like that. And he's like, well, I'm just here because they like me, and that kind of thing.
Now, which character would that be?
Florinald. He's in the set with, it's him and the girl Kalilit on the world of Gistal, which has a set of cycles between purple and yellow. And he's a very competent character, but he has his big moment there, I would say, is like throughout the entire his entire storyline, he has all kinds of interesting equipment to help him get the job done. But in his biggest fight, he's not allowed to use it, but he still wins.
Really?
And then it's like, basically like, well, dang, maybe I'm not so bad after all, kind of. It's like, he had all this, he has all kinds of magical equipment. And like I said, without giving it away, he's not allowed to use it, but he still ends up winning just through his skill and a little bit, and a few suggestions from Kalilit. But,
right.
So it's like, yeah, he has this, like, he really has one of these moments. It's like, after all this, like, wow, maybe they did see something in me after all.
Right.
So, yeah. That was the biggest moment like that, I think, in the book for any of the characters, really.
Yep. Yep. Now, which of your main characters are successful in their individual quests?
Well,
All of
they're
them or some of them?
they're all successful to one degree or another. Well, like say, Florinald had a really major success there. All the characters are successful, although they have their moments of falling down too.
Right.
But they're all successful, and people have said, well, your characters always win. Well, it's not true, first of all. But second of all, most characters in most books win at least by the end of the book. I mean, it's like, unless you're one of these, tragic things where the heroes are always dying, and
Yep.
by the end of the book, there's no one left alive except the one character, and see the next book kind of thing. Like,
Yep.
I don't tend to do that. My stories tend to be a bit more on the light side, though they have their moments. But yeah, they all tend to succeed, like with varying degrees of efficiency, but at least they accomplish their missions, whatever might happen along the way. There's a few interesting things occasionally.
Yes.
None of the fights are a cakewalk. None of the missions are super easy, and it's like, I don't know if I can get more specific than that without giving too much away, but yeah.
Okay.
But they all tend to be successful, but they do need help from other people sometimes.
I'll see if I can't wheedle out of you in our next interview, right? So,
Yeah.
Joel, what's your Facebook page that people can contact you?
I'm just Joel Roosa at yahoo.com is my only thing on Facebook. I don't have other than that, I don't have
Joel Roosa at yahoo.com.
Yeah, and that's it. That's my only thing on Facebook. You could probably find me through that.
And your book is published by Whitecap Publications, which you can go to at www.whitecatpublications.com. All right. That is our interview today. Tune in next week for our next interview with author Joel Roosa. And till next interview, all right, goodbye.
All right, thank you.